Hansa, I think this cheese went bad. Where did you buy it?
I don't know, look at the label.
It says Olomouc. We gotta get a refund. Do you have the receipt?
No, I don't have the receipt. They're not gonna give you a refund without the receipt.
Well, if I'm gonna be a Czech citizen, I'm gonna have to learn how to complain. Get dressed. We're going to Olomouc.
Toby, you wanna go in the car?
Prague is not a particularly smelly place, except Můstek. Můstek is pretty smelly. But in general, Bohemia smells fine. But Moravia, that might be a different story. The city of Olomouc, the historical capital of Moravia and the namesake of this very smelly cheese, looks pretty nice in photos. But if everybody's eating this cheese, I can only imagine what the city smells like. Moravia, along with Bohemia and Silesia, are the three parts that form the Czech Republic, with three different people, the Czechs, Moravians, and Silesians. Olomouc was once the center of the Great Moravian Empire, from the 11th century until 1642. For 8 years during the 30 Years' War, Olomouc was occupied by the Swedes, who destroyed the town like they were on a British stag party, causing Olomouc to lose its status as the predominant city in Moravia, therefore becoming second in importance to Brno. Second to Brno? That's gotta hurt. But before we make it to the stinky origin of this stinky cheese, you might need to learn some Czech. Smrdi. Smrdi. It means it stinks. Voní. Voní. That means it smells nice. See, the Czech language isn't so difficult. Well, it doesn't have to be. That's why when Online Jazyky reached out to me to try their online learning system, I knew this would be perfect for my viewers who always ask me, how do I get started learning Czech on my own? Online Jazyky offers an interactive method of learning a new language, with videos, exercises, covering all the essentials you need when you're learning a new language. On Online Jazyky, you can learn Czech, English, French, Spanish, German, Italian, and Russian, all from the comfort of your home, and all at your own pace. Review a lesson anytime without the pressure of a classroom full of other students. For the next 2 weeks, Online Jazyky has a special offer for Dream Prague viewers only. Go to the link in the description box below to get 30% off your first purchase. That's huge. Whether you'd like to learn some Czech for your visit to Czechia, or you're a recent expat who is struggling with your Czech studies, or maybe you're one of my Czech viewers who'd like to enjoy these videos without subtitles, then this is a great deal for you. When you do, you help me support this channel so I can show you more of this beautiful country. So thank you. Okay, back to the adventure. These days, with its flashier sister city Prague attracting all the international attention as the capital of Czechia and one of Europe's favorite tourist destinations, what does Olomouc even have to offer? The Czechs from Bohemia will tell you that the Moravians are special. Well, the Moravians agree, and they'd like to tell you all about their specialness. For one, Olomouc's bell tower is actually 6 feet taller than Prague's. Its cathedral is actually 4 meters taller than St. Vitus's Cathedral at Prague Castle. And its plague monument is the tallest and most grandiose in all of Europe. Reportedly, on its consecration day in 1754, the most powerful woman in Europe, Habsburg Empress Maria Theresa, paid Olomouc a visit and seethed with envy that Olomouc had a column taller and grander than the one near her seat of power in Vienna. But we didn't drive all this way just to gape in awe at some of the most beautiful monuments in Czechia. We had some business to take care of. And as soon as we approached the main square in Olomouc, we knew we'd come to the right place.
Smells like everybody's getting refunds.
Ooh, it does. We were soon very surprised to find out that these Moravians weren't here to get a refund for their smelly cheese, but to celebrate it. We had stumbled upon the annual cheese festival that, frankly, rivaled any food festival we'd been to in all of Czechia. Stinky Olomoucké twaróžky, or tvargle, goes back over 500 years in the Hana region of Moravia. It was made and eaten in almost every household, and its smelly foot-like odor is actually its calling card and what makes it so beloved. So our packet of cheese hadn't actually turned bad. Olomoucké twaróžky is actually supposed to smell like feet. So the first question is, obviously, why? Well, that stinky odor that you smell in your sweaty feet or on your gym shoes comes from a bacteria that is also essential for the fermentation of tvargle, hence the similar smell. I'm also curious, how? How do they make cheese smell like feet? With only slight modifications, Olomoucké twaróžky has been made the same way for hundreds of years. Mother would lure special Moravian cows in from the fields with plum dumplings, for which the cows happily exchanged a pail of fresh milk. Mother would leave the milk on the stoop for 3 days to ferment until the curds formed. When father returned home from his job as a farmer or a metalsmith, smelly and tired, he'd take off his shoes and stomp on the curds, giving the mixture that particular foot smell. As a reward for finishing their chores, the children were then allowed to make curd balls from the smelly mixture and had a cheese ball fight out in the local field. The flattened cheese pellets were left to dry for 12 to 14 days under the Moravian sky. Beautiful young maidens then came to the field to collect the flattened cheese pellets, now dry and smellier than ever. And they'd take them to the square in Olomouc to distribute their stinky goodness throughout the land. Of course, when the Czech Republic entered the European Union, the process had to be slightly modified. But that authentic foot smell remains. As eaters, I wouldn't call the Czechs adventurous. Sure, they eat some plachenka, which is... I encourage you to order it next time you visit. But in general, you're not going to find anything too exotic in a Czech or Moravian diet. So I want to know, who was this rebel Moravian who was the first guy to put this smelly yellow blob in his mouth? And how on earth did he convince others to do the same? Why do we know to stay away from some things that smell terrible?
Absolutely not.
But others are delicious. It's because of a little bit of magic that happens somewhere in the back of your nose, and it's called backward smelling. When these stinky molecules come up the front of the nose, the brain is repulsed, demanding that its owner flee the source of the smell immediately. For those brave enough to then put the smelly food in their mouth, as they crush the food with their teeth and mash it against their tongue, the flavor wafts up the back of the nose, and when combined with the texture on the tongue, it produces a very desirable taste. The Moravians aren't the only ones who have mastered the fine art of backward smelling. Greenlanders eat fermented shark meat. The Swedes eat sour herring. The Chinese eat century eggs. And Honda loves Korean kimchi so much that he even wears it on his hat. The one thing all of these disgusting but delicious delicacies have in common with twaróżki is that they're all left to ferment in their own bacteria until they're just about ready to rot, and then bam, time to eat. The smell of stinky cheese has so infiltrated the palates of these Moravians that they were putting it in everything. In sausages and ice cream, in pastries and quiche and pancakes. And you know what? If 100,000 Moravians love this stinky cheese so much that they throw it an annual festival, then maybe it was worth a try. Backwards smelling. It works. Don't worry, if you can't make it to Olomouc on the weekend of the Twaróżki festival, most of these vendors have shops in town, selling their goods all year round. Hansa and I definitely recommend that you make the trip. For us, Olomouc gets 4.5 stars. Tobik ate half of a star when most of the restaurants wouldn't let him in, which is one thing Prague definitely does better. Good thing we found this restaurant, which not only invited Tobik to dine, but gave him 2 bowls of water while he waited. And now that we're back in Prague, Hans and I are going to keep an eye out for tvargle in our local market. Hansa already has some ripening in our kitchen in a jar of beer, onions, and caraway seeds. Perfect to spread on breakfast toast and annoy your partner. What's that smell?
That's definitely your breath.
That's fair. Uvidíme se příště. Ahoj!